Life is messy, right? Like, we don't get that choice to walk through the fire, right? Like, you're gonna walk through the fire maybe more than once. That's not a choice you have. The choice you have is, are you gonna be consumed by that fire? Are you gonna let it burn you up? Or are you gonna be refined by that fire and come out the other side golden? Get up. Somebody needs you. Somebody, somewhere, sometime, someday, in some way, needs you to show up. And they need you to show up today so that you can be the person they need tomorrow.
Welcome back for another episode. Today I am joined by a proud husband, father, homeschool dad of 2 boys, owner of a 7-figure e-commerce business, doing significant year-over-year growth. And I'm not just saying it just to say it. I've been able to look underneath the hood so I can validate that claim. He's top 1% of his niche. He's spoken on stages. He's also a board member at a nonprofit shipping clothes and other basic necessities to needy Christians in the Philippines. Loves to enjoy the freedoms his business has provided him and his family. He's restless, rebellious. In fact, we're just kind of chuckling in a green room before we hit the record about his rebelliousness. Says normal is boring, and I cannot agree more. What's the use of being normal in these days? And on paper, every one of these credentials adds up to what we think would lead to a college diploma or something of that nature. It does not, because he has a season of what he calls the lost decade. And that makes a good episode title, actually. And this is where the conversation starts. So Ryan Otwell, my dude, welcome to the show, man.
Thanks, Karl. I'm glad to be here. It's always good to talk to you. And I know we've been trying to set this up for a while, but you're busy. Your podcast sounds like it's doing awesome. You got a packed schedule. So I'm glad I could find a slot to slip in here.
Yeah, man. Always enjoy our times together, dude. Really do, man. Just talking and shooting a breeze. And yeah, I enjoy doing a show, man. I really enjoy having conversations and in that time too, you're in the Philippines, doing a couple of things, spending some time with your team, which is really inspirational. And guys, if you don't, I know I'll say this later, but follow him on social media like Facebook and so forth. You can get a glimpse into the pictures that he shared about connecting with his team, the mission trips that he does in the Philippines. And this time around, he did it with his whole family. He didn't just do it by himself. He took his whole family, which is pretty amazing because, quite frankly, in today's times, we tend to not enjoy that, right? To take advantage of that. So,
yep. Awesome experience for everybody.
Yep. And honestly, I remember the conversation that you and I had. I remember it to this day because I was actually outside at Starbucks. I was enjoying a day out because it was beautiful and sunny, kind of like it is today. And, we're in South Florida. It's not many days where it's beautiful and sunny, right? But I remember to the day, man, where you had the opportunity to go on a mission trip and you were doubting yourself, man. You're like, man, I don't know. I'm just not this biblical scholar and this and this. And I'm just like, bro, stop. Right. And we'll get into this later, but I just remember that conversation. And as I'm looking at you, those of you who are watching, that are listening right now, I just want you to imagine if you watched the series Chosen or any of the biblical movies, this amazing young man has a very close resemblance to the actors that play Jesus on these movies. So we'll get into this funny.
Yeah, I'll drop that one real quick. This while we were visiting somebody's house, this little girl was looking up at me. She was like 5 years old. And she's just looking at me, and she pulls on her mom's shirt. She's like, "Mama, is that Jesus?" So yeah, I think it was appropriate.
Very much so. Very much so, man. Very much so. So if you're just listening, just imagine this character, if you will. longer hair, a little bit of curly, peach fuzz all over his face. I'm not kidding. I'm kidding about peach fuzz, but it's nice growing beard, just that visual. And of course, if you're watching, you see it, right? So, all right, man, let's get to it, dude. Ryan, so take me back before any of it, right? Before the business, before Jesus, before rehab, before the divorce. Paint me a picture of young Ryan in his late teens. What was home like, man? What was the inside of your head like before this last decade started?
Sure. Like, I think I had a good life, actually. Like, grew up with, me and you have some things in common and some things that are very different. And I think one thing that we have in common is we both moved around a lot growing up.
Yeah.
There was one point in my life where my parents lived in more houses than years they had been married. They had been married, I don't know, 13 years of marriage.
That's
and lived in
crazy.
14 houses or something crazy. So we moved around quite a bit, and that had to do with my dad's work and things like that. But that impacted me. That was hard, especially going into teen years, especially for somebody who's introverted anyways. It's hard to, establish yourself and then move and reestablish yourself. But outside of that, I had a good life. I had good parents, middle class upbringing and all that, raised in the church. But just like anybody in life, life happened to me. And, this is something I had to learn over time, that, coming up in the church, you see a lot of a facade a lot of times, right? Like, a lot of people, you just assume like, oh, they're in church and everything's good in their life, and look at them. But usually that's not the case. And it's definitely not the case forever. Like, everybody's going to have their things they go through. And so, my dad was a preacher as well. He was full-time law enforcement. He was full-time preaching. So, I think we were kind of held to a higher standard, but I also held my parents to a higher standard because of that. And so when things did happen, when things did start to fall apart, probably impacted me more than I should have let it. But yeah, things did happen. We had some trauma in the family that really ripped the family apart for a while. And this was right as I was coming out of high school, and kind of caused me to, I can't say it caused me to take a bad turn, but I definitely allowed it to push me in that direction, right? It's my choice, my decisions. I'm in control of my life. But I think a lot of people could relate to this. I use those as excuses, right? So yeah, my older brother, he was actually going off into the military. So I lost that stability, and our family was going through some crisis, and there was, it was just a really bad time. And I had put my faith and my trust in people, right? Which is really dangerous. And
yes, it is.
People will let you down, and you can't put them on a pedestal. You have to know they are people.
That's true.
Just
That's so
like
true.
you.
That's good. Yeah.
You let yourself down. You let other people down.
Yeah.
Well, you can't expect others not to do the same. They are people.
Yeah.
So putting all my faith in people, all my trust, in my parents, when things got shaky and rough, that just fell apart all around me. Started, hanging out with the wrong people, started getting into drinking and drugs and all that stuff. And then there was a few things there that really precipitated that to get worse and worse and worse. I am an obsessive person, I would say. I was
about to get into that.
Personality. And like, that's really good in some aspects, right? When we're talking about business, when you're digging into business, it's good to have that obsessive nature of like, I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to beat this thing. I'm going to grow this business, whatever it is. But when you have some mental issues, when you're dealing with, depression and trauma, and you're obsessing over that,
that's not healthy.
That is destructive and really, really bad. So drugs and alcohol is a wonderful solution for those problems, because if you can't stop thinking about the thing, that helps you not to do that, right? Like
Yeah,
a
makes
lot of
sense.
people, I mean, anybody who's struggled with something like this can fully relate to what I'm saying. People who have not dealt with these issues probably think it sounds ridiculous, but when I hear people who are suffering with like severe drug addiction, and then people who've never been there will say things like, well, they just need to get help, they just need to quit. Like, who would do that to their life? Like, they're making bad choices. Who would do that? Drug solves two things, and it drives all of human behavior.
Mm-hmm.
It pushes you away from the pain, it numbs the pain, and it's extremely pleasurable at the same time. So to those people who couldn't relate to something like that, it's like, you don't know how good it feels, and you don't know how much pain they're in at the same time.
That's man, that's so good. And this really gives you some insights as to why a lot of people use this and as an outlet. Fortunately or unfortunately, depending on your perspective, my advice was different. But I never got into alcohol and drugs to that degree. I mean, I experimented back in high school and so forth. But let's take it back for a moment, because you mentioned you went through a lot of traumas, or you went through some specific events. If you can't, I respect that, right? But give us some insights in what you can talk about, in the sense of like, what was some specific events that occurred? What was some things that that caused this trauma for you?
Sure. Yeah. Generally speaking, it was things that involved infidelity. There was attempted suicide. There was like months, and I don't even know how long. Like, a lot of these times in my life are just kind of jumbled around in my head, and as you can imagine why, but I don't really remember how long a lot of these things were going on for, but there was at least months and months of just like, extreme fighting and problems and disconnect in the family, where it was just like the family was shattered, right? Like everything was just apart. And at the same time, like, I had a younger brother in the house. He was much younger than me. And, my older brother was gone, and I felt alone and nowhere to turn to, but I'm supposed to be like a good example for my brother, and I wasn't being a good example there. So it was just kind of what I was saying earlier. I built my dependencies around people. And then when the people let me down, I didn't have another foundation. Even though I was coming up in the church and I believed in God, I didn't have my own faith there, right? It was
makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense for sure. Thanks for sharing that and allowing us a peek underneath the the cover, so to speak, to get a glimpse of this, right? Because I mean, everybody's flavor of the cereal is different, but it all boils down to the same thing, right? It programs your brain. It programs you to respond with different vices, whether it's drugs, it's alcohol, it's porn, it's whatever. I mean, there's tons of vices that people rely on now to cope with that trauma, to cope with that tough season. And so thanks for sharing that. You touched on this, and you touched on this, for the benefit of or using it as a superpower versus a weakness, about being obsessive. You said that you're obsessive, and I can kind of attest to that. I've seen how obsessive you could be, and I mean that in a loving way, right? So don't take that as a hit. But you said obsessiveness serves you well in business, but not when you're dealing with trauma. So walk me through the first time you noticed your brain would not stop. Was it in school? Was it after a specific day or event in the family? When did you finally realize that the thing in your head was not normal? And that's probably not a good question to ask, but you get what I'm asking here.
Yeah, I think I noticed it even before this family trauma happened, and it was with like around girlfriends, and like when I had a breakup, or a girl didn't like me the way I liked her, or whatever that was, I would not be able to let that go. And like, it would keep me up at night, and I would just toss and turn. It would just like frustrate me to no end, that I couldn't stop thinking about whatever it was. I couldn't get thoughts out of my head. So then, yeah, when the trauma, when we were going through all those issues, yeah, it was just, be thinking about it all day, make you sad. And then you're trying to go to bed and you can't, you're just tossing and turning at night, just running through your head. And then, when I'm on to something good, like I'm excited about this new business venture, the same thing happens. Like I can't sleep. But it's a positive case, right?
Yep.
So yeah, it is a superpower, and it's also a super weakness at the same time. But I think being aware of that is very useful.
I agree with you 100%. And one thing I want to make note for the listeners out there, what Ryan is talking about here is being aware of your weaknesses, but leverage them as a superpower, right? I mean, if you know you're obsessive, leverage it as a superpower and as a strength, but at the same time, realizing it can also be a hindrance, because to your point, if you're obsessing over a specific problem, instead of a specific solution, we need to reverse the script there, right? Because so many people are obsessed. In fact, I was on a phone call earlier today, ironically. This cat was totally obsessive over the problem instead of the solution. It's like, hey, man, how about we flip the script, flip the programming? Because, we're going to see what we're focused on. So if you're focused on problems, guess what? That's what you're going to see. But if you're focused on solutions, you'll find opportunities for solutions. So real quick before we keep rolling, maybe life hit you hard. Business fell apart. Career isn't working out. Relationship ended. Health took a dive. And now you're standing in the rubble trying to figure out what the next move even looks like. Or maybe nothing blew up at all. On paper, you're winning, sure. But on the inside, something's off. You're not in crisis. You're at a crossroads. And the playbook that built the life you have is not the playbook that builds the one you want. Either way, you're stuck. Not broken, stuck. Between who you were and who you're becoming. Most self-help just piles more weight on the load you're already carrying. I do not want to do that. I put together a free video series called The Grit Code Exposed, and I want to invite you to check it out. 7 short videos, that's it. The 5 laws that change everything for me and every client I coach. The same 5 that every person who's ever come back from the fire has walked through, whether they had a name for it or not. No fluff, no 90-minute webinar, no bait, just the free video series. You can start it tonight. Grab it at gritcodeexposed.com. One more time, gritcodeexposed.com. It's free. You don't need any more hustle. You need the next version, and this is how you find it. Check it out. See if it speaks to you, and if it does, I'll see you on the inside. All right, let's get back to the conversation. But fast forward, or maybe not so much fast forward. You mentioned there was some trauma. You gave some some insights there. I'm not going to of course, ask you for details or anything of nature or names, but take me to the first time you reached for something to make the noise stop. Was it a substance? Was it a moment with friends? When did you cross the line from a kid carrying something heavy to a kid carrying something or using something to carry it?
Sure. Yeah, probably. It was the first job I had was at Ryan Steakhouse washing dishes, which is a buffet, and there's like thousands of dishes a day. It's not the best job. And it was okay as far as entry level, but it was not a good environment. And there was, adult convicts working there in the kitchen and troubled youth working there in the kitchen. And then there was me. And then I was going through, emotional distress at the same time. So that was the time that I started experimenting with drugs and alcohol and things like that. Beers would come out in the kitchen sometimes after closing, and then just making friends at work.
Yeah.
And that gives you that outlet of like, you're not caring about all this crap going on in your life, and you're just hanging out and having a good time. So I think that's when it started. And that's when I first experienced, smoking pot, to the point where like, oh, I'm not even thinking about all the stuff, but it would come back later. Right.
Yeah.
So that's where that cycle starts of self-medication, of just trying to block it out. And this is fine. I feel good this way, so let's go this way.
It's understandable, right? I mean, we do this. There's a lot of pains that we try to numb, whether it's for combat veterans or, both of us have similar paths or types of different paths. And we do things to cope instead of dealing with the issue or dealing with that past. We just do these things to cope with it, right? We use it as a coping mechanism, and we justify it, in that moment, right? I kind of chuckled here for a moment when you said Ryan's. One, because your name's Ryan, right? But little funny story as you're talking about Ryan's Steakhouse, and just visualize, guys, if you're listening, this steakhouse where this is the environment, right? It's mostly individuals that are there for a second chance, or they're not the most they don't have a decorated history in a good way. It's about the best way I could summarize that. Right. But anyways, so I'll give you a funny story, man. This is back when we lived in Alabama. Our kids were your kids today age. And so my wife used to work at I think she was actually, before she got her RM, and she was working as a CNA at a retirement home. And so she would work on a weekend. So what I would do either Saturdays or Sundays is I would take our kids to Ryan's Steakhouse for breakfast. Right? You're chuckling because you know probably where this is going. But, oh my gosh, I still remember this vividly, man. But 3 weekends, or was it 3 weekends? At least 2 weekends in a row, our son would, get this plate full of food, right? Go sit down. I go walk away. You get my food, and I come back sitting down at the table, and there's vomit all over the freaking floor. And I'm like, oh, Lord of mercy. So we just got up and left, And so that last one, the last time we went was, it was all over the place. We're like, yeah, this is a sign. We need to go. So there you go. Those of you that love Ryan's Steakhouse, we're sorry, but not. Man,
yeah, I don't even think they're around anymore. I think
I don't think they are. You're right. Man, shortly after that is when they closed down. Understandably so. At least the location where we used to live, it's actually not the building itself, but the parking lot adjacent to it. They use it as an extension of the car dealership next door. Those of you who are in Enterprise, Alabama, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So, all right. So you use the word excuse in your intake, and I love this because, well, we'll dive into this more. But you said for years to use the trauma and the emotional baggage as an excuse to stay on the path instead of taking personal responsibility. So take me to a year that was the deepest in that decade. This decade where we start to get into the lost decade, or the decade of whatever that is, whatever I said.
Yeah.
What did your day actually look like, right? I mean, when did you actually decide to wake up?
Well, I'm stubborn, so it took me a long time.
Well, walk us through that, man. Walk us through the moment where you finally realized.
There was many years that went on past that family trauma, and like there was some baggage I carried from that, and some seared memories that I carried from that, and I made it through college. I was always a smart kid, and so it didn't take maximum effort to get grades. So I was able to graduate college with an engineering degree. During that time, I got married, and I brought all of those problems into that marriage. And also, my wife at the time brought her own baggage and her own problems into that marriage. So it was something that we probably made each other worse in a lot of ways. And after several years of marriage, there was infidelity on her part. She had a ongoing affair for a long time that I couldn't deal with, as you can imagine.
Yeah, of course.
And I
Yeah.
was already emotionally unstable and
Yeah.
you know, dealing with substance abuse, working a job and a career that I absolutely hated, which was engineering. Just because you're good at something doesn't mean you should do something. I'll just throw that out.
So true.
So yeah, it was not a healthy marriage. We did try to reconcile, and I think I was putting in more effort than she was, and ultimately that marriage fell apart. I was working another job, and this is where I was, you know, basically living on my own, no wife, no girlfriend anymore. And I had my brother moved in with me. He was kind of doing his own thing.
Your younger brother or older brother?
My older brother.
Okay.
And just this was a period where like a lot more depression was coming into my life. And I was diagnosed with chronic depression. I hate that. Like I don't believe in any of this diagnoses. So
I can
maybe we can get into some of that later as well. But yeah, I was dealing with severe depression. I was really getting to the point where I was suicidal myself, and the drugs were getting worse. And because of that, you know, the dopamine highs and lows, serotonin's spiking and crashing was making it worse as well. And it got to the point where like one day I had to go to work, and somehow I was still functioning, right? I don't know how, but like I was still functioning. I was doing my
survival
job.
Mode.
Yeah. I don't know. I can just do that somehow. But only for so long. And
Agreed.
it came to the point where I had to go to work the next day, and it was like 4 a.m, and I was still up, and I couldn't go. Like I just couldn't go to work. And so I called my dad and I told him I need help. Like I can't do this.
Take your time, man.
I told him to come get me. I need help. So he did. And then that was the start of the start of a recovery, I would say, that it in and of itself had many highs and lows as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, he took me to a place, ran through some questionnaires with somebody, and they said, you know, he should probably go into a facility. Like we should check him into a facility. So went and did that, and that was about the lowest point. Like
how long were you in that facility for?
I was only there for a few months. It wasn't that long actually. Yeah. But yeah, I remember like sitting outside and like telling my dad, like I asked him to pray for me because like,
oh wow,
I couldn't say a prayer myself. Like, can you do it for me? Sorry.
No, you're good, man. You're good. Take your time, man.
Yeah, in a minute.
Yeah.
But he told me that day, I don't know the exact words he said, but he told me, I know you can't see it, but one day you can help somebody else.
Yes.
And I know that's true because I've done it. And
Yeah.
but it was like, 10 years later, which is a whole nother lesson. And
It is.
that's really why I'm here today. Like, I don't like talking about this stuff, as you can imagine. It's
Yeah,
hard,
understandable. Understandable.
but somebody can benefit, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so
No, man. This thank you for sharing this, man. As you're talking through this, man, you know how much I love Ed Milet, dude. And as you're talking through this, man, you're starting to get me a little emotional now, man. As you're talking through this, I remember how he was talking about how proud of his dad he was, right? Because he was talking about the one person that changed daddy's life. Because his dad was a raging alcoholic, abusive, and for the bulk of his life, he had to read them. This is how he's so good now at reading people and inspiring people, because he had to learn that earlier on, right? He had to learn how to be able to read his father when he came through the door. Okay, is this the happy father coming through the door, or is this the raging alcoholic where I have to protect my mom and sister, right? But he said he was forever grateful for the person that changed his life, his dad's life, and it's unknown who that person was. And as a result, not only through his dad's work, but his work, hundreds of thousands of lives have been impacted. Hundreds, right? Life is messy. Life is dirty. And it will hold you down if you let it. And I hope those are listening and watching right now are understanding that life gets messy for everybody. There is no perfect. Whoever paints this shit on freaking social media is absolutely delusional. Life is just messy, and it's okay. It is 100% okay. And I know beyond a shadow of doubt, at least one person is going to hear your story, hear what you have given, and be like, holy shit, there's hope for me. There's hope for me because Ryan did it. He pulled through it. If he could do it, I can too.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I like what you said. Life is messy, right? Like,
Yeah.
we don't get that choice to
No.
walk through the fire, right? Like, you're going to walk
So
through
right.
the fire maybe more than once. That's not a choice you have. The choice you have is, are you going to be consumed by that fire? Are you going to let it burn you up? Or are you going to be refined by that fire and come out the other side golden? So yeah,
good.
to know,
I agree.
like, this is something like I struggle with a lot, and I still struggle with it, is like getting stuck in your problems, getting stuck in your diagnoses. We talked about that. I know people that to this day are still holding on to their trauma and their victimhood. And man, that's not, those things happen to you. You're a victim. That's not your choice. But how you respond to it, that's your choice. And it's your responsibility. Nobody's coming to save you. It's your opportunity to walk through that fire, to show somebody else, hey, come over here.
Yes.
This way's better.
Yes. I agree, man. This is gold right here. This is gold. It is not your fault, but it is your responsibility, right? The fires that we go through, don't get me wrong, there are self-inflicted fires that we put ourselves through, right? But the fires, with the cards that we are dealt in life, yes, life happens. Life's us. In fact, I was just talking to a guy today. I'll keep his name anonymous, but just last year he lost two of his three kids, and you probably know who I'm talking about. And this year he's like it's been that's the last 2 weeks, it's been constant 2x4s right in the face, So, talking to this amazing young man, he's not young, but I'm calling him young because, well, we need these kinds of compliments. But life is messy, man. But life happens for you, not to you. And that's the biggest thing I've had to reframe for me, because trust me, most of my life I was playing the victim mindset, right? Too much to what you were talking about earlier. I've been through more homes and states than I could count. I was homeless twice before I could legally drive. I could easily have said, "Oh, poor me, woe is me," and life would just give me, "Oh, it's okay. We understand. It's okay. You didn't have a great upbringing, or you didn't have whatever, a trust fund or what have you." It's not my fault, but it is my responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
It's not your fault, Ryan, that you went through those things that you've had to go through. However, it is your responsibility to change, which I want to say I've really admired you for the responsibility you decided, not chose, decided to take for your family, man. Because I took a picture of you. I took a picture of you, dude, when we're out front at the resort at the last conference that you spoke at. And you had, I'm not going to mention his name, but you had your youngest son's hand in your hand. And he was just looking up to you. I'm like, that's it. That's it. Right? Whew.
That's awesome.
Bless.
I appreciate that. And I want that picture. Thank you.
That's it. But you had every excuse, man. You had every excuse. And people would have said, "It's okay, Ryan. We understand. We get it." But she said, "No, man, I've had enough. There's more out there for me." You decided to pick up your bag of excuses and say, "Let's go," because there's people that are counting on me, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
I want, if you don't mind, I want to touch on that a little bit more because
yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I do know the guy you're talking about, and we don't have I've talked to him several times. I wouldn't say we're very close, but I know who he is, and we've communicated. But I look at him with a lot of respect because of this. And he has no idea of that. Maybe he will now, but yeah, it's easy to see how we're impacting our family and our inner circle and our children, but even if you don't have that, or you do, there's people outside of that circle that you have no idea are watching you, and they're watching how you respond, how you react, how you carry yourself. And it's impossible not to be an example. It's impossible you don't live in a vacuum. And when you make poor decisions in life, that impacts the air around you, the people around you, the society around you. And that gentleman, I've got a lot of respect for him, because
absolutely,
I don't know how I would be able to walk through that fire, but I can see him doing it, and he's showing up, and that's massive. There's a couple at church that I know, same thing. It's like, I never had a close relationship with them, and I think the first time I ever met them was at their baby's funeral. And I think I can't imagine what that would do to me and my marriage and my relationships if I had to go through what they went through. But I've watched them over the years come through that, and that would wreck a lot of people's faith. Their faith
100%.
in God, it drew them closer together and closer to God over time. And that has a massive impact on me. To see that, to watch them, to see how they respond.
Yeah.
So
good.
I would encourage everybody to think that way. Like, somebody somewhere is watching you.
Yes. 100% I agree. As you're talking about that, I don't know if you had a chance to listen to this podcast just yet, but we just had an episode released on Friday, episode 23, with Kang Dang, talking about the loss of his child, loss of his son, and how he had to navigate that, and how that brought him, not just him, but his whole family to Jesus, especially his wife. And I'm not going to get into details. You have to, listeners, you have to pull up the podcast. But it was when he shared this speech at the same conference you and I were at, I think. In fact, you could hear a pin drop. Even afterwards, you could hear a pin drop. Right, like usually when people give speeches and so forth and talks, people clap and all this, but you could hear a pin drop. To your point, people in that situation would typically be driven further away from God. However, it brought them closer, and with that, I want to start to pivot into this transition. Because I know you and I could talk for hours, as we did 2-3 weeks ago when we got together in person with Ryan Kimura and Silas Anderson
for a quick lunch.
Yeah, it was supposed to be. We knew better. Come on, we knew better for a quick lunch. But you said on your intake, and I want to read it back to you because it really, for me, it landed, especially right after releasing the episode 24. Of the podcast, or is it 23? I think it's actually episode 23. That you cannot fix yourself before you come to Jesus, right? You have to bring your mess to him and ask him to help you clean it up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
that's like when I was telling my dad, like I felt like I couldn't pray. Like, you got to do it for me. And there maybe there's something there. But I did stay away from church for quite a while because of that feeling of like, I still struggle with this today, right? Like, I still often feel like I don't fit in with this group of people who are so polished and look, it's so amazing how amazing they are. But at the core of my issues earlier, it was like I felt like I was too dirty and I have to clean my life up before I could come to Jesus. And it doesn't work that way. It does not work that way at all. Like, you got to bring your mess there and drop it at his feet and say, help me. You don't wash yourself before you take a shower. Right.
That's true. That's true. At least not the last time I checked.
You don't heal yourself before you go to the doctor. Like, these are the reasons you go for these things. So yeah, I think I could have used some grace towards myself in that aspect of like, letting myself be there and accepting, you don't deserve to be here. That's the point. Yeah. He wants you here.
Yep.
And he'll help you get to where you can be.
Well, that's an interesting point. So let's put a pin on this for a second, because what you just brought up, I think, and I can attest to this. I mean, I still battle with it. I'm not immune. But you bring up an interesting point. Is that self-critic that we have, where the past, there's this voice in our minds that reminds us, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing in this group? What are you doing in this church? What are you doing in this business, this relationship, this whatever? And it's trying to remind you, right? So that's an interesting point. So talk to that person for a moment, Ryan, if you don't mind. I would love to hear your thoughts on this. What do you say to that person where that the noise is so loud that they think it's real? Like, and in a lot of ways, sometimes it does feel real, right? So talk to that person.
Like, I can't relate with everybody. I can only relate to, what was in my head and the things I struggle with. And I know there's some people that think a similar way, that like, that's just not who I am. Or, I used to have this mantra of like, be yourself, like be true to yourself. And like how destructive that can be.
Yeah,
I've completely changed that to, I tell myself constantly, be better than yourself.
Ooh.
And like, we have these ideals of like who we could be, who we should be, but definitely we can be better. And whatever aspect that is, And so when I have these issues of like, I don't belong in this room, I don't belong in that place, I don't belong in this role in my business.
Yeah.
That's probably true. I right now am not who I need to be in that room, in that place, in that role. But I can be. So what is holding me back from that? It's probably not the room and the people in the room. It's probably me, right?
Yep.
I'm probably
so
the issue.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm always my biggest problem and my
We
biggest
all are.
critic. But
Yeah.
but yeah, that's where I land is like, okay, be better. And then tomorrow, be better.
Yeah.
And then tomorrow,
Be better.
be better. Yeah.
I like that, man. That's an interesting perspective. I did not. You took a left turn there. I'm like, whoa, I didn't even expect that. But that's so true. You know, we often inflict this on ourselves. We develop these stories, you know, of what people are thinking about us when we go in these rooms or go in these situations or in these businesses and so forth. 99, I can't say 100% because it's an absolute statement, but 99.9% of the time, it is false. People are too, you know, sprung up in their own issues to worry about us, right?
Yep.
They have their own messy life to deal with.
Yeah. And the ones who don't, like, I've noticed this as well. Like, there are people that you're going to bother. There are people that will complain and notice you, and they have nothing going on.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Well, you said on your intake, this kind of spins into an interesting point. You said on your intake that you do not call yourself an addict. You went to the various types of meetings and you sat in those rooms, but you refused to introduce yourself with that phrase, which is interesting to me. Now, mind you, I don't have this background, but most people would call that denial. But you called it identity, and I will love to hear why. So walk me through your thinking. Why does those four words matter so much to you?
Sure. I think I need to preface this because, like, I don't want to mess up anybody else's life. This is me and my life.
Of course.
Yeah. So, there's a quote that says something like, "The one-eyed man is king of the blind," and you know, that's the same with wisdom, right? Like, we're here imparting all our amazing wisdom, me and Karl, but we're just fools as well. So
true.
Be careful, you know, just because I say it, you know, don't believe it. Be careful who you listen to, who you take advice from, know your situation, surround yourself with mentors. And now let me tell you what I think. Yeah, I think it's extremely important, the words you use about yourself. And I will hear people talk about positive affirmations, and in the same context talk about admitting you're an addict. And to me, that's a clash of ideas. I think when you are saying I'm an addict, you are taking on that identity. This is who I am. And does it totally relinquish responsibility? No, probably not, but it definitely gives you a separation from that responsibility. I would say other things like, I'm a sinful man. I struggle with substance abuse. I've made a lot of poor decisions. I have no problem saying those. I needed help. Like, I needed to go into that facility. I needed help. I am not an addict. That's not who I am.
It's true.
And I would say that for anybody who's dealing with that. The same thing, I told you I was diagnosed with chronic depression. Should I take that on? Like, because this is what people do.
Sure, that's true.
I have chronic depression. I have anxiety. I have this. I have that. And you were just seeding that into your belief system in your heart. Like, that's it. That's what I am. And then it kind of shuts down your view of what's possible and what you can do and how you can succeed and how you can improve yourself. So that's why. And like, again, I really want to say, like, I'm not. I can't tell other people who deal with these things to do it
Sure.
my way. If you're finding a path through there and that's helpful for you, that's what you need to do. But for
Yeah.
me, it just bothers me to no end, and I could not even like say that. Like,
yeah, it's certainly understandable. I mean, you hear me talk a lot about this, right? And I think we severely underestimate the power of our words, because we tend to think that we don't have, there's no power in them, right? For example, when we stub our toe on the corner of the bed, oh, it's so stupid. Well, newsflash: your brain does not have a filter to remove these momentary frustrations and to say, oh, let's omit that from the court records, right? This is further cementing what you've already believed about yourself, right? So to your point, I think those are all valid points. It's in the sense of whatever you say out loud is reconfirming or reaffirming the beliefs that you already hold true about yourself. Right, wrong, or different, that's exactly what's happening. Is you're programming your subconscious.
yeah, I'm a risk taker and I'm obsessive.
Yes, you are.
I'd rather say that. It's a fine line.
Yeah.
People can say, I have ADHD. So I can't succeed because I have ADHD. Or somebody's like, dude, I got ADHD and I am like crushing it because of my ADHD. Yeah, it's important, I think.
I hear you, man. Real quick before you go, if you're still with me this deep into the episode, something in it hit you. Maybe it was the guest. Maybe it was one line. Either way, you're still here. And that feeling in your chest right now, that's the signal. Most people get a signal like that and do absolutely nothing with it. They close the app, life rushes back in, the moment's gone. 6 months later, they're in the exact same spot. I don't want that for you. So I put something together. I want to invite you to check out a free video series called The Grit Code Exposed. 7 short videos, the 5 laws I walk every client through. The same ones that rebuilt me when everything else fell apart. And if you listen closely today, you heard them running underneath the entire conversation. Because everyone who's come back from the fire walks through these 5 laws. Some find them on their own, some get help, but the laws don't change. Free video series. You can start it tonight. No fluff, no 90-minute webinar, just the series. And if you're going to do something with what you heard today, do this before life talks you out of it. Go to gritcodeexposed.com. One more time, gritcodeexposed.com. And hey, before I let you go, thank you for riding with me this long. It means a lot more than you know. Thank you. You are a risk taker, because one thing it wasn't really relevant to the introduction, but you just recently bought, somebody's portion of the business to scale your business substantially. You're like, all right, let's go, let's do it. I'm just like, damn. All right, cool. So, well, let's move on, man, because I want to give some not that we haven't already given the audience some juicy stuff, some tactics, and some amazing wisdom from us fools to inspire lives. But you said something in your intake that made me smile. But I'll finish what I'm going to say here. That you have this morning routine. You do walks, kind of cynics, Bible, prayer, reading, journaling. Just a gratitude line of 1 or 3 sentences on your mind. So for the person that's listening who's grinding through their day with no ramp, right? Walk them through your version. What does your first 90 minutes of your day look like? And what does that gratitude line, or why does it mean so much for you?
Yeah, it centers me for sure. And you pushed me to this for a while. I think it was like pulling teeth for a while.
It was.
I don't have time. Like, how am I going to fit another hour into the day? Like, how is that possible? Like, it's just, I can't do it, Karl. I can't do it. But yeah, it is really important for me, and it comes and goes. I get out of the routine and I got to get back into it. And what's interesting about that is like the days that I do it, it's not always just like, oh, I feel amazing now that I did my routine.
Yeah,
but what
yeah.
does happen is if I get out of it, I really notice like I'm out of my routine and I feel like I'm out of control out of that. Like if I haven't had my morning routine for a week, I feel like my life is out of control. Like I have no control of my schedule. I have no control. I'm just at the mercy of everybody else's whims, you know?
Yeah.
So that's where I thought it was very helpful in grounding me and feel like, okay, like I'm in control of the day. This is my time and I'm going to do these things. And then it does force me to say a prayer. It does force me to read scripture. It does force me to have gratitude in my life because I have to check a box that I did those things. So yeah, it's been very helpful. Very, very helpful.
I appreciate you sharing that, man. And I hope those that are listening are walking away with some tactical things that you could do in your life. This is something that I have been, kicked in the teeth to do. Right? Because at the end of the day, to your point, man, this is the only time of the day that we can control before we start our day, right? So starting our day with a win, with a big old W, whether it's, doing a walk or going to the gym, essentially making the promises that you make to yourself, I think is so important that we really underestimate the importance of it. Mm-hmm. Especially the gratitude part, especially the journey component of it. You're right. It's not like a huge dopamine hit when you don't do it, or I'm sorry, when you do it. But when you don't, you feel off-centered. You feel off-kilted, right? Funny story. One of my coaches, Nate Green, that I'm working with for almost 2 years now at this point. Jeez. He could almost instantly tell when I'm off my routine, really? Just by what kind of message I send him, how my tone sounds when I speak to him. He's like, "You didn't do your routine this morning, did you?" I'm like, crap, man, you wiring my house? He could tell, man. I'm just like, all right, got you. So he was like, hang up, go freaking put your vest on, just do a walk. I don't care what it is, just go do something. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and this is simple stuff, right? This is not like some epiphany we've had, right?
Yeah.
And for me, it's like my priorities are faith, family, and freedom. That's it. Faith, family, and freedom. And if I'm telling people that, and I'm telling my children that, and I'm telling myself that, but I'm not making that a priority, I'm losing.
Yeah,
so
that's a good point.
That's where I put that first in the day, right? Like get into the word first in the day, because if you wait, you're not going to do it at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So it helps you align your priorities and make sure you're getting the most important stuff in first.
Agree, man. Agree. Lots of amazing knowledge bombs here, guys. And to Ryan's point, it's nothing like it's some spectacular thing, right? It is simply just outlining some things you can do first thing in the morning. It doesn't have to be complex. Just do 10 push-ups or air squats, or do some calisthenics. Read 10 pages every day, right? So, all right. Well, fast forward to today. 2 homeschool boys at the kitchen table. You have life on purpose with your whole family, right? Your wife, your 2 boys, a 7-figure business, top 1% of your niche, man. Speaking on stages, building a YouTube channel, board member. Like, man, this is like just the life that you live, right? So that being said, I'd love to hear, what are you most fired up about now?
I get fired up when you rattle all that stuff off.
It's only a portion of it.
That concept of the gap in the gain.
Yeah.
So I struggle with that constantly, of like, I still have these ideals in my head of like where I want to be, where I can be, what we can achieve. And we're not there, right? So like I'm just measuring the gap of like we're failing because we're not there.
Yeah.
But it's so good to remember, like, oh yeah, we've come really far actually. Like I used to be stuck in a cubicle and I hate it. And I had a 1-year-old child at home that I never had a relationship with because I would commute to work before he woke up. I would get home an hour before bedtime, and I didn't have a relationship with my son. I've built and sold a business since then. I've gotten
That's
into
right.
the second business that we're in now, and I work more than I've ever worked in my life. But we've built a lot of flexibility.
Yes, you
And
have.
we are still on a hot pursuit for freedom. And what that means, it has changed for me over the years, but we have a lot of flexibility. My wife has been able to stay home. She's running homeschool, running the home, building an awesome home for us. We've traveled to multiple countries around the world multiple times. We've got millions of credit card points that we can use to fly and stay in. We stayed in a hotel that J-Lo was at.
I remember this. That was a Hunger, right?
How can I look back and be like, okay, yeah, I was in a rehab facility and I was in a cubicle and like had no hope. And now I'm like in a hotel with J-Lo. Like I should measure that gain more often. So
yeah, you're 100% correct, man. And see, you just hyped your own self up. You need to do that more often, man.
I'm ready to go again. Let's go do something.
Let's go, man. But the other thing I failed to mention, you kind of alluded to, but I want to put the dart right on it, that you just took a 5-day vacation, completely unplugged without working one bit, right? Mm-hmm. To a lot of people, that just sounds like, a fairy tale, right? Especially what you just talked about, in a cubicle, the lost decade that you went through. So this is why I so love the journey that you shared, because if you allowed your mind to fall victim to the excuses that you could have given yourself to, your wife and kids would not have the amazing young man that is sitting right in front of me, virtually sitting right in front of me. You have a beautiful family, man. You have an amazing life. And I know you know that, but sometimes hearing it from somebody provides that, right?
Yep, absolutely. So, thank you.
Yeah, man. So where can the person that was resonating with you, that is like, man, because you're working on some projects, maybe you're ready to reveal those things, maybe you're not. So, where can the person find you? What are some projects you're working on that might be, of interest to the person that's listening right now?
Sure. If anybody wants to see the business that I'm currently doing and that we are launching content around right now, they can check out a new YouTube channel, A2 Amazing. Anybody that's doing Amazon, that might make sense. Anybody who's not, that makes 0 sense. A2 Amazing. And you can check out kind of the business model that we're working on the Amazon marketplace. Or if you just want to shoot me a message, you could try and find me on Facebook or on X, FBA_amazing.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah. I've really, admired your work with the 8A Flips game. Those that are in the space, it's industry lingo. If you're not in it, you won't know, but that's fine. But, 8A Flips is something you've been doing really, really well with. You've done tons of course content and all of this kinds of other things too, which we didn't really talk about really. Right. So, like I said, man, we could talk for hours, but unfortunately our schedules.
We'll do a part 2 next year.
Hey, I tell you what, if the audience says it, we'll do it, man. If the audience says they wanted part 2, we'll do a part 2. And so far, every opportunity I've given that to has been taken. So, well, awesome. So I want to throw this out there. You serve on the board of Send the Light. You're right. You've been to the Philippines twice. You ship out clothes and it's, really support the Christian community in the Philippines. Is there anything that the listener that, let me rephrase this. Is there anything that the listener can do to support you in that mission?
Yeah, absolutely. We are always accepting financial donations. I don't take any money from this. Nobody else takes money from that. I think our overhead rate is like 2%, which is unheard of in the nonprofit space.
Agree.
So, I mean, all we're paying overhead for is like website hosting and stuff like that, credit card processing, that kind of stuff. So anything that comes through passes right through to the cause. So we accept financial donations, and that's used to pay for shipping the Balak buy-in boxes. And we also use them for some church projects. Like we've helped build a well for somebody. We've helped build buildings, things like that. But one of our primary goals is actually sending physical goods over there. So we pack up donations. So we accept physical donations, and if you want to send them, we can accept those. But either way, financial, physical, we can give you a tax write-off. And yeah, if you want to find out more about that, send-the-light.com, and you can see some of the work we're doing over there. But yeah, really impactful, really cool. And going over there was really neat because I got to hang out with some of the guys that were coming up to me and being like, "Hey, like this shirt came from you guys. Like, thank you."
That's pretty cool, man. That's got to be pretty rewarding, man, to see to see the results of that kind of work in real life, right? Whether it's donation physically or, with money, or it's donating clothes, food, or anything of that nature, it really helps hit home more when you have that human connection. So, all right, man. So you said you want to leave a message, to leave the audience with this, somebody that needs you to step in your potential, maybe a family member, a stranger, so forth. I want you to, for the next 30 to 60 seconds, look into the camera and say it where you would say the version of you sitting in the rehab 10 years ago, 12, however many years ago it was.
Get up. Somebody needs you. Somebody, somewhere, sometime, someday, in some way needs you to show up. And they need you to show up today so that you can be the person they need tomorrow.
So good, man. I got goosebumps. Whew. I'm so fired up for this episode to get released, man.
Step into your potential, man.
That's it, man. That is it. All right. As we wrap up, man, rapid fire questions. If you've listened to this podcast, you know exactly what I'm getting into. If it's not, that's okay. Right along with us. In this season of life, what does grit mean for you, my man?
For me, it means getting back up. There's a quote. I have no idea who said it, but they said, "I am never down. I am either up or I am getting back up." And that just always resonated with me. I wrestled in high school too. And I had that tenacity of like, I was not undefeated. I had a really good record, but I wasn't undefeated, but I was never beat easily. I would get back up, and I would get back up, and I would get back up. So that one resonates with me.
Nice. I love that. Man, I didn't know you wrestled in high school, man. That's another reason why I love you. All right. Cool.
No, I'm not going to wrestle with you, Karl.
Oh, man. That's all right. I don't want your wife coming after me. Oh, man. I love that we can have these kind of conversations. In my season of life, man, especially in today's times, man, there's always these talks of what we can add, right? Adding systems, adding strategies, adding whatever. Add. In order to level up, growth also requires subtraction. So in this season of life, what is one thing that you're actively removing or subtracting for yourself to level up? Could be something could be something you had to unbelieve or unlearn, or some type of friction you had to remove from your life. What is something that you're actively working on?
Yeah, for me, it's letting go of control of all the parts of my business. Like,
that's hard.
You mentioned that I took 5 days off, and like, to me, that was such an accomplishment. Some people listening to your show will resonate with this. The entrepreneurs will understand this. Some people will think this is ridiculous and insane. I worked for 7 days a week for several years. So that 5 days of complete disconnect was a big step.
Yeah.
And, but it showed me like, okay, you can, and you need to more and more and more. And that is very front of mind. I am actively trying to offload tasks in my business, like go of that control, that I have an issue, like, oh, nobody can do it like me. So that's what I'm working on. And what's cool is AI is actually helping with that, of building some of those automations. It's like nobody should be doing this, really. Pushing data around. It's just
yeah, I know AI is something that you and I could geek out on for hours on that, man. I know, man. Well, cool. Last two questions. So both of these were questions that I kind of prepared you for in the green room before we hit record. When the lights go out or you're in the trenches, what is a quote or directive or even a scripture that pulls you through that time?
So I would just recommend anybody who has not read the book of Ecclesiastes, the whole book. Just like read it in a couple of days. If you can do it in a day, do it in a day. Just get the big picture of that book and just know, like, life is but a vapor. It's all vanity. Life is vanity.
It is, man.
Searching for too much wisdom is vanity. Searching for too much glory and wealth is vanity. Enjoy the wife of your youth and enjoy the labor the Lord has given you under the sun. This is what he's given to you to enjoy. Yeah. And just know it's all vanity. But at the same time, that book tells you, whatever you do, whatever you find your hands to do, do it with all your might. So how do you pair those concepts up? Like, that's life.
Yeah,
like
true.
And I can't speak to somebody who doesn't believe. Like, I find it hard to. I went through a lot of these processes of not believing and believing and searching for my faith, and not knowing what's real. And so I did a lot of soul searching for this. And I think that's a whole nother topic for another day. We could talk 2 hours on that one.
Agree.
But if you don't believe, I think it's really hard to have purpose and meaning for
100%.
And if you do believe and you're not getting into the word every day, what are you even doing?
Yeah.
So I would say that's one that I'm always coming back to, is like, yeah, it's hard. Get over it. Like, life is vain. You have an opportunity today. Go do it with all your might, because you're working as unto the Lord. None of this is yours. You have today.
Yeah.
Enjoy your wife. You're rich already. You have a wife. She's amazing.
Yeah, 100%.
So that whole book, I would just take that whole book together.
So good.
Adopt that philosophy.
That's so good, man. There's definitely a lot of wisdom and knowledge that we can apply in that, man. So good for sure. All right, man. As we wrap it up, man, last question comes in 2 parts. Those that are listening for the first time, I always love to ask my current guests to challenge them with a question of their own. And guys, the lineup is completely anonymous, right? So in the gear room, I gave Ryan no indication of who my next guest is, because I have been rotating these episodes around to fit different formats of the things that we have going on. So that being said, my previous guest, Josh Crumback, owner of Encore Business Group, had this question for you. Do you have what it takes to keep going?
Absolutely.
See, told you. Every question's been perfect. Every question's been perfect. Right?
I have no choice. I will keep going.
Ooh, so good. Yeah, I mean, look back over your life. Yes, you do have what it takes to keep going. So whether you choose to do it or not, right? Or decide.
Yeah. And that's something that helps me, is when I look, like, I have these problems that I have to deal with. I have this hard thing that bubbles up in the business or whatever, and I make a big to-do about it, right? Like, I have this problem. It's so hard. But then I'm like, oh yeah, like I went through rehab. Like that was a lot harder. That was like way harder.
Yeah.
So you can take those things that you've overcome, you can take them with you for the rest of your life.
It's true, man. So. That is true. 100%, man. I agree. All right. So, guys, I will be dropping in the show notes, everything he's, linked in terms of his websites and how to find him. All of this information will be dropped in the show notes. So please reach out to Ryan. Thank him for coming on the show, for being vulnerable, for allowing us a small glimpse in behind the scenes of the journey he's walked. Eder, you're going to have your job. You're going to have your hands full. All right. So what would you love to ask my next guest? We got to wrap this up like 5 minutes.
So we all have, a better life that we know we can achieve the next level, whether it's financial or personal, whatever it is. I want to ask the next person, what is the primary blocker in your life that is keeping you from getting to that next version of yourself?
Ooh, I like that. Power to get to next level. Love that, man. Awesome. Heck yeah. Well, Ryan, my man, I appreciate coming on the show today to give us a glimpse in behind the scenes and really allowing us to see the fires that you've had to go through, the seasons of change and, the rise to the occasion, right? I'm kind of, I hear this "Eye of the Tiger" song in my back of the head, as I'm, talking about this, but you truly did choose or decide to resurrect yourself from the ashes, to lean into your faith and to ask for help. Not only asked your dad, but also to ask God, Jesus, like, hey, I'm surrendering all this to you. So again, my man, I really appreciate and honor you for coming in here, being vulnerable, and allowing us to go on this journey with you, man, for the last hour.
Thanks, Karl. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man, absolutely. All right, for those that are listening and watching, the gap between average and excellence is just action, even imperfect action. Don't just listen to Ryan. Please just take one thing that Ryan's talked about today, even if it's just in the next 24 hours. Do not wait until next week. Be the reason that someone doesn't quit today. Don't keep this episode to yourself. Someone in your circle right now needs this. Send it to them. Again, Ryan, my dude, thank you so much for stepping in the arena today, my man.
Thank you, Karl.
Absolutely.
Have a good one.